and dudettes. How are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to Cinema Chazzy, the segment on this channel where I review the many movies that I watch over the years, whether they're old or new or modern or classic. I'm aware some of those terms are synonyms, but I am just so used to it because it's been my intro for years now and I'm stubborn. I don't want to change it and I refuse to, so get over it, ya freaking grammar Nazis. And speaking of Nazis, that did not segue well at all, my god, but still, today I'm going to be covering, in case you guys haven't been watching my other content, I've been doing some war-related stuff lately, mainly just playing Battlefield Bad Company, and also I reviewed Saving Private Ryan, some time ago, one of the best war movies of all time, and also I did a short recently. If you guys want to go, after you're done with this video, go to my channel, go to the shorts tab and check out my top 10 war movies of all time, my own personal opinion about the greatest ones in. Today I'm going to be reviewing a movie that was on that list, and that's why I said speaking of Nazi, because I'm going to be covering Valkyrie, and this movie here truly is something special, man. Technically it's not really a war movie, I mean it is, but it's more of a historical political thriller, but I still consider it to be war because it does cover events that took place in World War II, specifically this very intricate plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler, during the reign of Nazi Germany. And this plot happened in July 20th, 1944, and that's what this movie covers here, because it was an attempt by his own German officers not only to assassinate him but take control of the country, through Operation Valkyrie, hence the name of the movie, that's where it comes from. And it was really nice, and despite going through several different release dates, it was eventually released in 2008, and among other actors, on the ensemble cast, it stars Tom Cruise as Klaus von Stauffenberg, who was the main plotter in the assassination attempt. And it's really interesting how they managed to take a real life setting and transform it into a work of art that can entertain us and also inform us at the same time. The intention behind Bryan Singer, the director, making this movie was to raise awareness, of the actual plot, which it did. I've watched this movie multiple times throughout my life and I love it, It had an initial budget upwards of $90 million and it went on to gross quite a bit more than that, peaking at $201.5 million, at the box office. So I'd say it was pretty darn successful, Despite a few controversies and historical inaccuracies, as these movies always tend to have, Tom Cruise got in hot water with the German government because he practiced Scientology, which the Germans, viewed with suspicion, But still, in the end, they allowed the production to go smoothly. They even filmed it in certain historical locations. So I think it came together at the end of the day to make a really cool piece of art, and I like this movie a lot, right? So that's why I'm going to be covering it today. But before I get into, some of the finer details, let's take the black applaud. Let's take a look at a clip here from Valkyrie.
North Africa is lost. You can serve Germany or the Fuhrer, not both.
It's just that talk that had you sent here, Colonel.
What I said was much worse.
Now, I'm pretty sure you all know what happened in the Second World War, all of the attacks and the Holocaust, all of the disgusting acts of non-humanity, and in the movie, Klaus von Stauffenberg is stationed in Tunisia and is starting to become more disillusioned with the German regime, which, I mean, if you have heart and compassion, you as a soldier probably didn't really approve too much of the future of Germany at the time, So while stationed in Tunisia, his squadron is attacked by enemy bombers and he suffers severe injuries. He loses an eye, a hand, and 2 fingers on his other hand, So it's really complicated, but he survives it, and he starts moving on to continue his war effort. And then at one point, he starts to get together with almost like this conspiracy team, a group of soldiers who are also disillusioned, and they are forming the resistance against Hitler, to assassinate him. And they do start by trying to put a bomb on Control, a bottle of alcohol on his plane, but he lands, so it was unsuccessful. The bomb didn't go off for some reason, and already, certain key members of the party start to get arrested, so the government starts to get suspicious, so not everybody is for the plan to assassinate the Fuhrer, so not everybody is immediately on board. So we have a few other key soldiers taking place in the German resistance against Hitler, and as the movie goes on, it starts to show us the thriller side, how they're almost getting caught here and there, the intensity of it all. on. I think it's really nice. At one point, you know, they decide to use Operation Valkyrie to take control of the reserve army after Hitler is assassinated. So essentially they will try to make it look like the SS is staging a coup and put the blame on them when it was actually them who were conspiring, you know, making the whole thing happen. It makes a lot more sense when you're watching it. And the plotters, they start to redraft the plan. You know, they want to assassinate, you know, another key figure who is Himmler. So, you know, if you assassinate just Hitler and Himmler takes his place, you know, I believe one of the characters says in the movie, why take out a madman just to have a lunatic take his place, you know? So have to get both of them. General Friedrich Fromm is, they try to sway him to the resistance effort, but it doesn't work. And even though he declines to be directly involved, he does stay quiet about it. He knows what's going on, but he just, you know, turns a blind eye. So kind of a little conflicted soldier there. So now, eventually, Stauffenberg attends a strategy meeting on July 15th, you know, in the Wolf's Lair. Now, they are trying to put together a plan to take out Hitler inside of the Wolf's Lair, which is a confined space where a blast in that area combined with the heat, you know, the stuffy air, is going to kill everybody instantly. So it is a foolproof plan. They're using their little bombs with the detonators to make it go off in a certain amount of time. But, you know, doesn't really work out too well because they put together a really good intricate plan, which is foiled at the last minute, you know. So now they try to move the reserve army, and then you know, the general gets wind of it and threatens to arrest them. But anyway, so when the actual day of the to execute the plot comes, the meeting is actually moved from the Wolf's Lair to an open hut, you know, with open windows and fresh air coming in. So the bomb, even going off, would not have the same effect that it would if it wasn't in an enclosed area. So automatically, you know, there's already a monkey wrench thrown into the plan, but they go forward with it anyway. You know, the bomb goes off in the war room with Hitler, and everybody assumes that he was killed. So the conspirators, they go and start they start mobilizing Operation Valkyrie, you know, sending the reserve army out to arrest all of the higher soldiers, you know. But then, you know, it starts to work out really well. Everything is going according to plan. Everything is just falling into place perfectly until they get a call that Hitler actually survived, and then they are completely exposed, and there's no time or opportunity to backtrack, you know. So like the domino effect starts to go back. The dominoes were falling into place, and it's almost like they were coming back up, you know. They were re-falling back into original place, you know. It is heartbreaking, man. It's really heartbreaking. All of the people who were against Hitler, you know, they were found out and they were all arrested and eventually executed, you know. It's a heartbreaking moment that really makes your heart pound out of your chest. It's really intense, the events leading up to them being captured, because at one point they are denying it. They say that it's false propaganda, but eventually it is revealed that Hitler is alive, and that's where Tom Cruise and the other actors give such chilling performances, man. You know, they know that their lives were over at that point. So, you know, Fromm stages an impromptu court-martial, you know, and all of the conspirators, one of them commits suicide, the poor guy. He shoots himself in the head because he couldn't take being executed. So then, you know, all of the conspirators, you know, are put on, they are executed. Damn it, they are put to death, you know, by execution of firing squads. So one by one they are taken out, and you know, some of them are silent. They just look at the soldiers, and others just don't really say anything. And von Stauffenberg, you know, before he is shot, he actually yells out, "Long live sacred Germany," before he's killed. Very good editing. Then there's a little post-credit scene that shows all of the other conspirators who were eventually found, trialed, and executed as well. Some were hung, others were shot in prison. So really cool, really nice little historical part there. And that was a mouthful, huh? Let's take a look at another clip here before I talk about the cast.
I serve my country, but I have betrayed my conscience. We need to kill Hitler. There has to be a chance of success.
That's why you're here.
Any problem on Earth can be solved. The careful application of explosives.
And now the more technical aspect of the review, as it is with all of these reviews, the cast, right? Like I said, very good ensemble cast, a lot of really fantastic actors in the roles, like for example Tom Cruise playing Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg, who was very much a humanist and was the key plotter in this conspiracy against Hitler. And Cruise actually took on the disabilities that the Colonel had in real life with the eye patch, you know, and the hand, the glove. And I'm not entirely sure how they did him not having a hand. I don't know if it was special effects or an actual, I don't really know, but still, you know, he didn't complain because he knew that the Colonel lived with this discomfort his entire life, you know. Then we had Kenneth Branagh as Major Major General, you know, Henning von Tresco, who was kind of like, you know, physically he was a little different from the real life appearance. The actual general was balding, but still, I like this guy. I saw him in Harry Potter too. I really like this actor a lot. And also Bill Nighy as the General of Infantry, Friedrich Albrecht. All of these guys were real soldiers, by the way. These are actual real people who you can look up later and see how they were involved in the plot and how they were eventually executed. So, you know, he was cast to give them kind of like a sympathetic quality so he doesn't look too evil, you know. Then we have Terrence Stamp, the legendary Terrence Stamp as Colonel General Ludwig Beck, who was the guy who unfortunately took his own life at the end. He couldn't face, you know, being executed. I don't really know why, but still, you know, I really like him a lot too. Terrence Stamp can do no wrong in my eyes. Tom Wilkinson as General Friedrich Fromm, who was the head of the Reserve Army, and he was cast, you know, to kind of, you know, almost make the guy who was treacherous a little bit more sympathetic in a way, which we do see in some certain scenes. Clarice von Houten as, oh my god, Nina Stauffenberg's wife. Okay, I'm not gonna say this woman's name, you know, and they were really, the filmmakers were impressed by her performance in Black Book. That's why they cast her. So, you know, but still, she gave a really good performance with minimal dialogue. I actually liked her a lot too. Then we have Kevin McNally as Dr. Karl Friedrich Goerdeler, who was the German politician who intended to become Chancellor of Germany after the successful coup, you know, which unfortunately didn't happen. Really didn't happen. David Schofield as Field Marshal Erwin von Wieselben, who was a retired general and one of the plotters as well. A retired general, man, got caught up in this and was later executed. Like, holy freaking crap. But still, Christian Berkel as Colonel... What is with Germans and their long-ass, ridiculously hard names? Albrecht Ritter Myrtle von Kurim, who was a plotter who knew about explosives, the bald guy with the glasses, you know, really good actor. And Jamie Parker as the Lieutenant Werner von Hoffenstein, who was actually an adjutant. He was an assistant to von Stauffenberg, who actually was roped into the plot and carried it out, you know. I guess that's how assistants are. Eddie Izzard as the General of Signal Corps, you know. Eric Feldglebel. Gotta take some German lessons. And he was a signals officer and plotter who was responsible for the communications and also severing them, you know, in the Wolf's Lair when everything went down. And finally, this is the most that I'm gonna say. I don't want to talk about anybody else, it's gonna get too long. David Bammer as, of course, Adolf Hitler, who was the Führer. And during his audition for the role, like, the director was apparently struck by his eyes, you know. It just, he had a quality that really resonated with Hitler, which I don't think is something that any actor wants to hear in their career. I don't think it was necessarily a good thing, you know. I sure as hell wouldn't have liked that, but still, I actually think that it was really cool how they used the actual real-life Bender block and a few other filming locations in Germany, you know, because at first, you know, the German finance ministry, they denied the producers, you know, the permission to film there because they thought it might be a little inappropriate, you know. They thought that the site should have been remembered as a place of remembrance and mourning, and maybe it would lose dignity, you know, if they were exploiting it as a film set, but ultimately they decided to let it happen anyway, you know. They were actually eventually the artists were really grateful for the decision, because it's, I mean, if you're gonna film a movie about Nazi Germany, the best place to do it is to film actually at Germany, you know. It doesn't really make sense to do this in a film set. I don't know, I just think it's really nice. But still, really cool, good writing too, good script, you know, the dialogue just flowed very naturally, the way that the actors just played off of each other, and everything, especially towards the end, you could really feel the intensity of their performances, you know, almost like they were really truly there about to be executed. It's just really crazy, man. Of course, a bunch of American actors playing German soldiers might come off as a little cringe at times, but to me, I thought it was really well portrayed, very well done. And before I get into possibly the final stretch, let's take a look at one more clip here from Valkyrie.
If I fail, they'll come for you. All of you.
I know.
We have to show the world. Not all of us will like it.
Now, like I mentioned earlier, because of Tom Cruise's involvement with Scientology, which the Germans didn't really look very favorably upon, you know, they initially had, the production team originally had difficulty setting up shooting locations in Germany because of him, you know. They kind of frowned upon Cruise portraying von Stauffenberg, you know, but they eventually relented and allowed access, you know, for the film crew to go into historical locations. So a lot of the film that you saw was actually filmed on location in Germany, and, you know, there were some really interesting visual effects as well, like to make it so Tom Cruise didn't have a hand, you know, they overlaid it quite a bit, you know. I think it was really nice. And United Artists, actually, when they were employing the marketing campaign, you know, to avoid controversy, they focused less on Tom Cruise and more on Bryan Singer's credentials, you know, as a director. But ultimately, you know, the Germans relented. The newspapers thought that it was a really good idea to bring out the conspiracy, you know, and raise awareness, you know, spread it throughout the world. So, you know, just to see a different side of the World War. And that was actually, I believe, maybe the 11th or so assassination attempt on Hitler. There were quite a few attempts on his life while he was, you know, ruling Germany. And unfortunately, this one failed. All of them did, because he eventually ended up taking his own life anyway. But I normally don't really go for political dramas, man, but this one here is amazing because everything about it just came together to create such an amazing composition of art, right? Because I love historical dramas, and when you put too much politics into the mix, you kind of lose me as a spectator, but this one here was done very well. Usually we associate war movies with a lot of action and shooting and explosions and stuff, you know. This one had a few really interesting combative scenes, no action set pieces, but they were more directed towards the end, right when the climax and everything was, you know, crap was hitting the fan. So I really liked the pacing as well. Everything about it just seemed so in line with the theme, right? So the moments where they are conspiring against Hitler, putting together the plan, discussing it, going through the intricate details, you know, all of that very expertly juxtaposed with the action scenes when they were actually out there in the field trying to make things happen, when they were meeting with certain political figures and trying to sway them or convince them, you know, kind of like manipulate them to look the other way, or some of them to turn a blind eye, you know. A lot of the locations and the vehicles, the uniforms were very period accurate. I think it was really awesome. And the acting, man, the casting was superb. Every actor and actress just fit in their roles so elegantly, you know. I can't imagine any other actor being in the roles that I saw the ones, you know, actually portraying. So, you know, it just felt good. Like, if you can look past the fact that it's a bunch of Americans portraying Germans and actually, because obviously it would originally have been spoken in German, right? But I don't know, trying to make an American adaptation worked really well, and they did have the German government's blessing, you know, so there's really nothing wrong with it. You know, the visual effects, the explosions as well, like in the beginning where the bombers were attacking, you know, the battalion, I thought it was really awesome. Everything was great, man, you know. If I had to give this movie a rating, I would definitely give it a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it's almost up there, because if you look at it from a war perspective, then it's different, you know, but being a political thriller of sorts, like a historical drama, it fits really well, but it's not perfect. There were a few things that I wish like could have been, I don't know, I actually think that it could have been longer, you know. That's like my main, it was how long? It was 121 minutes, so about 2 hours. If they made it 2.5 hours, man, maybe I would have even given it a 10, right? If there's ever a director's cut out there, you know, because I don't know, I just thought that there could be even more than what that could have been explored. You know, for me to give a movie 10 out of 10, it has to be pretty much flawless. This one wasn't, but it's up there. I don't remember if I gave it a better rating than Saving Private Ryan. I don't really remember, but still, everything was great, man, you know. Just the set design, the cinematography, the soundtrack, and all. Well, who was the composer again? The music was by John Ottman, you know. He also edited it, put together the shots, so I think it was great. It's one of those movies where if you're a fan of war dramas, you definitely got to give this one a watch, man. You know, this one really should be up there, you know, on your watch list for war films. God, so freaking awesome. Bryan Singer really outdid himself. I think Bryan Singer directed the X-Men movies too, right? The newer ones. I don't remember if it was him or not, but still, very good film, man. Everything about it was just so great, you know, depicting all of the war, not the war, the history behind it, you know. At times it almost felt like a documentary, you know. You could really feel the actors' energy, you know, like when they were, like at the end when they were being executed, you could tell that they almost looked like scared for their lives, man. They were really about to die. But yes, I'm gonna wrap this up here, guys. Let me know in the comments below, you know, what you think, if you saw this movie, if you liked it, didn't like it. And I apologize if I seem a little unenthusiastic. I've been feeling kind of burnt out lately, which I'm gonna cover in the very next video after this. You know, I have some explaining to do, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway, you know, despite my very low energy and joy lately. You know, I've just been burnt out with YouTube and work and life, but I'm gonna get to that later. So if you guys happen to like this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And while you're at it, hit the notification bell too, so I can know exactly what time I upload, and it's all good. It's all good. Been trying to do videos every single day, but it's been tough. This is Chazzy signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the final clip if there is one, and then the outro screen.
We've been discovered.
Every second we stand
man here is a second lost.
If you want to live through the night, you'll do exactly as I say. Operation Valkyrie is in effect.